NANS was the first body that rejected Abacha because we were in Abiola Bano before I went in NANS president. So we rejected Abacha's conference. Mbomele, Dennis Inyang, member of the constitutional conference. I said I had a general illegitimate government. So Eba Kukuno Kasibido. Actually, I nearly didn't graduate because then DSS naturally because now I was natural support Abiola. So I kept going. Mona Kudirat now was your editing Abiola and all of that.
Yes.
I did all of that until 95 when I graduated and then went to Abuja for youth service. So it was one of the, every time Kudirat came to Abuja, I was always there to receive her and we go to court, she will leave. So in the course of that, on Nazi Lagos, I think she was planning to travel because we spoke on the phone. Nona plan a travel. Oluechi Afabobu and Lagos. That time, Fred no. Money no say na Sheraton and poor. Kambezi again back when the DSS Apologia. I later located him in Enugu prison. So it was a very turbulent period and we played our part in supporting that. We believed it. Traveled most of this country, mobilizing students, supporting the cause for the de-annulment of June 12. So eventually in 98, Abacha died and then Abiola himself died and then the democracy came. So by that time I was now working in the FCT in Abuja.
First time you witnessed what some of us by Pempe and I know also Abiola, you know,
yes,
you know, some of us also Abiola. Mamaka also Abiola. What
I don't know Lagos and my parents had been in Lagos at that time. So it was everybody took off Igbo, Banaba, because we were afraid. Maybe the crisis again.
After the election was annulled, after Abiola
after the election was annulled.
Okay.
Yes. Abiola. But everybody went back after nothing significant happened. But Ndibo were worried. Now, if I got a message, I could that one Ndibo nisi. So, Kaicha Alofanozo.
As somebody who one-on-one interaction and the relationship with them, MKO, Kedo Odem Madobo.
Very bold and, you know, when I look back and I'm thinking, Abiola in that 1993 was about 53 or 54 years old. About 54 years old. So age I am the now.
Yes. Wow.
So in Nigeria has regressed. He was a 55-year-old man. The mother's quite a young man.
Yes.
Abiola was that. Abacha was 53. At the time was head of state. Babangida was 44 when he became head of state. Now 44-year-old men are looked upon as
content creators, or maybe TikTokers.
TikTokers. Abiola was 40. Obasanjo was not Obasanjo. IBB was 44 when he overthrew Buhari. Buhari was 42 when he left office. I remember that because I was 42 when I left as minister. So I remember that Buhari was 42 when he left office as head of state. And that is the sad part in Nigeria, that we don't have people in office anymore who are young enough to feel the pains of a young family. And I will explain that.
Igbo gba gburugburu kedu ife mezi na oje bụrụ na ebe anyị kwesịrị ịtụnye ego na ya ratụ izinya bụ ego ebe afọ ọkwa imugo nwa ka ya amụ echi inugo nwaanyị ị ga-anụ echi ka bakwa alụ kịta ka ị gbara ana afọ ịgbalụ nwee ike ịpụta echi bụrụ ife ga-aba gị ọgaranya bụrụ ife ị ga-eji wee ko all these big men ịfụ na Igbo ana mere ọtụtụ ihe ha bụ ya gbara ana kịta nke ikpeazụ a Pineleaf ga-emenwu ya Pineleaf, the only trusted estate anyị ma ka emesianụ.
Onye mụ na ya na-akpa nkata from British Embassy. So Wesiana Papa, my friend, was a gynecologist to Nigerian's president. So Gowon's wife, IBB's wife, Obasanjo's wives. And it then dawned on me that in the last 20 years, I came when there was a president when he was president. That is, all our presidents are now 60s and above. Now we're getting closer to 80s. Because what that does is that at a certain age, you don't have memory anymore of what it means to have a family of 3 children, juggling school, paying school fees, paying for this. So our leadership, periodically needs to reflect how our society is. Because the demography of our society is a very young one. And the young part of it is that, those above 60 are less than 3% of our population. So it's important that once in a while, yes, that we reflect the dynamics of our society so that people who still have memory of what it means to juggle a family, to train children to school, to make our public schools work, to make our public health centers work, those people need to come closer to power so that they can at least, there has been disappointments, or there has been young people who have gone to public office and haven't done well. So it's not a case that an older person will not do well. But I'm just saying that with a very young population anyway, we've gone from very mid-age young presidents to now almost gerontocracy. Everybody is waiting for their turn, and age is getting further and further away. Yes.
Dalo. Recently, I follow you a lot. You commended the presidency for honoring Ato Nwankwo and others when it comes to this June 12th.
Yes.
Ke yi nwe ikwu maka the odika agba nkịtị odika ọsọsọ MKO bụ ihe bụ the hero of June 12th. Can you elaborate on why you made that clarion call? Na ekwesị ịhọna onye na ndị ọzọ play this role. And then kedu role if you na ha play that you think that negligence shouldn't be on the table?
So, when the president honored the mother for June 12th, the first honor, it was a Yoruba list. And I was like, no, June 12th was not a Yoruba matter. It was a national matter. Anom n'Enugu, mgbe anyị planụ, ndị Nadeko bịala Enugu, Abraham Adesoya, Bola Ige, Lawani Ayoku, they came to Enugu, ha ji night bus ka security ala ekwosifa. Ewebe declare Nadeko n'Enugu, ma Abraham Adesoya national leader, Ato Nwankwo deputy, and Dan Suleman. Naba Ato Nwankwo n'Enugu na 4th dimension. Anom Ato Nwankwo je Commonwealth meeting to push for the de-annulment of June 12th. Nata back into Nigerian airport, everybody was afraid na gave me arrest. In Siaya Nataba, I was the liaison between Eastern Mandate Union and Kudirat. Omune Jozi between them. Mbanya night bus, Nje Lagos, Nesha Mune Apusia, Nataba Zikwa to Ifoku. So I knew that on the day Abacha died, Ato was in detention with Udenta. Hano Nenugu in detention. Mbiaka Afufa Asina Madama Afufa. Muna Victor Nwankwo. So it was na Abacha Nwoze Kejuwe release Ato because they were planning to take them to Lagos, to Abuja the day Abacha won.
The very day?
Yes, the day Abacha won. That was the day they were planning to move them. They were seeing Abacha won that morning. They were manacled in chains and detained. Ato suffered about 4 detentions, Udenta about 6. So it would be unfair to talk about June 12th and not talk about people like Ato and June and Udenta. To show you how the role Eastern Mandate Union played, when Alliance for Democracy was formed, the Mwafomo Alliance for Democracy, they zoned the National Secretary to Eastern Mandate Union. That's how Udenta became the first National Secretary of Alliance for Democracy, the party that produced 5 governors in the Southwest, including Bola Tinubu. If we played no role, yes, if we didn't play any role in June 12th, why was Udenta made secretary of this? The fact that they disagreed with him along the line, the fact that he has gone in another political trajectory, does not diminish the fact that they played a role in June 12th. And when they announced the names and said, don't forget that all this list of journalists and where you went and fixed Ato's name, Nato was deputy national chairman of Nadeko with Dan Suleman. So you should put them in a different category. He was in detention when Abacha died, where you people were in exile. He was here. He was abroad going to give a lecture na Commonwealth. He could have stayed abroad if he was
Yes.
afraid. But he came back to Nigeria and suffered the detention here when you people were in London and in America, which is okay. You are campaigning there, but he paid the price here.
First time.
So that's why I wrote a very painful article then that no, they should be recognized. So when he did recognize them, I applauded him for that and said, but it's not yet over. There are more people. Udenta should be recognized. Edwin Umadnago should be recognized because he was a man who was an editorial board of The Guardian. He was a communist and he was very vehement in his support for June 12. Somebody like Gigi Dara, somebody like Fred Eno, Abiola's personal assistant. N'Enugu prison can chotalia. Nobody knew his whereabouts. We thought na Febuge until I got information not the N'Enugu. So I went to Enugu prison and found him there. He nearly died in the prison. So this shouldn't be, it wasn't a Yoruba fight. And we shouldn't ethnicize it. So that's why I felt very strong about it. And then also congratulated the president for listening and making amends and asking him to do more. Nyamekaria.
Dalu. Nyamekaria Institute of Technology and Nutrition. Igbo onye Obosi. Ka anyị banye Obosi Ụkwala. Kedu ife mere Obosi ji wee bụrụ obodo bụ na anụ mmadụ atọ ọnụ ịghọtago onye na-abụrụ onye Obosi a na-agụ ya. Kedu ife mere Obosi ji wee dị ebube? Go ahead.
Obosi ife anyị ji bụrụ Obosi erika mana the most important bụ anyị bụ obodo na-eke ike and anyị bụ obodo na-afụ nwanne n'anya. Maka na anyị na-eke ike, anyị na-ebikọ ọnụ. Ịbịa na Obosi fụ na compound niile dịkọrọ ọnụ. Onye ọbụla bikọrọ ọnụ, anyị ji biri n'elu ugwu anwa ka anyị wee na-afụ onye na-abịa abịa. Maka ndị Obosi na-eke ikiri nne.
Yes.
So anyị bụ obodo ama maka anyị na-azọsi ụkwụ ike na and anyị na-ama nwanne. No matter etu o si dị anyị na Obosi, nwanne ife niile ka o si so nasịa ife niile nasịa nwanne ada na Obosi. So o mere anyị dị united. Mekwa ya ife ọzọ nyere anyị aka bụ na anyị fụrụ ndị ọcha gboo fa abịa si Ọnịcha bata Obosi. So ndị Obosi jere akwụkwọ gboo jee akwụkwọ na-alụ ọrụ na public service. Anyị abụkebere ndị na-azụ afịa, anyị abụkebere businessmen, mana anyị bụ ndị ama maka akwụkwọ. And so that is why anyị ji nwee the Igbo translation of ekpere na abụ of ancient and modern bụ onye Obosi mere ya Eneli. So icheke ndị bịa Okwuchukwu ma Ọka down to Enugu, many of them bụ ndị Obosi. My grandfather was a catechist. O je school na onwe grade 1 mgbe a na-enwe onye na-enwe distinction na primary 6. So ndị ọcha kpọrọ ya oje school. Ebe afọ ka afọ anyị nọ wee ghọọ Chidoka. Afọ anyị bụ Chidomunka.
Okay.
Ha wee shortenzie ya to Chidoka.
Okay.
Yes. So he was a catechist and started churches, Anglican churches across many communities. Mgbe ndị arọ ndị izu ọgụ mee 100 years of St. Andrew's Obi n'etiti, they invited us because the pulpit did there but my grandfather Lulia, Bulia from Obosi, we buna arọ ndị izu ọgụ. It took 2 weeks to get it to arọ ndị izu ọgụ. So the Ndi Obosi played a major role in the spread of Christianity in Igbo land.
Obosi nkwa ndị na-akpa ya larị nne biko kedu ife na-eme anọgide asịkwa eji wee gbara ọkọta asị ka ihe na-eme as a community about it and then give me eji anụkali such a bad news around Obosi and then ihe na-eme about it.
All the aftermath of urbanization, unplanned urbanization. Obosi was a traditional rural society that got urbanized without the institutions to manage urbanization. So 3/4 of ndị bi n'Obosi kịta abụrụ ndị Obosi. 3/4 of ndị bi n'Obosi abụrụ ndị Obosi.
Ndị mbịambịa.
Yes. So and anyị enwero the infrastructure to manage urbanization. So which is a lesson for government. As a place begins to urbanize, it is important to create the institutions for urbanization. Because the traditional institution of Eze na ndị Ichie but for people who subscribe to the Obosi worldview. But what of the people who are not Obosi indigenes and all of that?
Yes.
We need to have a process, a enforcement system, a court system that reflects our urban status. The population of Obosi is grown wide. I mean, we have one of the largest wards in Nigeria, the highest registered voters for a single ward, Obosi. So it is the institutionalization of urbanization that needs to occur to manage the negative impacts of urbanization. Even beyond the violence, the children not going to school, managing our waste, managing our water, water in the town, waste management.
Yes.
All of these are things that, as we progress, communities that are not like, say, Oka or Onitsha, many communities are urbanizing like Obosi. So there needs to be a framework for those communities to manage urbanization. And that's a major challenge in Obosi. But as in the Obosi, we are managing it. We are pushing back at the externalities and trying to create a culture that accepts our urban status and at the same time preserves our traditional institutions.
Us at Healthy Living with Nonye Soludo has started working to ensure that no girl child in our dear state misses school or feel inferior or ashamed by establishing pad bank and appropriate education to about 222 secondary schools in Anambra State and some tertiary institutions.